Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley. I'm new here, so if you're new here, welcome. I hope that you will stick with me to the end. Today I want to talk about a personal skin condition journey that I have been on called Topical Steroid Withdrawal, or TSW, or you can refer to it as RSS, which is red skin syndrome. But I am currently going through this very debilitating skin condition, and I wanted to just take a moment to discuss with you my journey, what I'm experiencing, what I'm going through, just in the event that anyone who may be also going through the same situation, possibly know somebody who is going through it, that it will bring some awareness, some insight as to what this condition is and how you can live through it, really. So let's get into it. So what is topical steroid withdrawal? Topical steroid withdrawal occurs when you have been using topical steroids for a prolonged period of time, or it could be that you've been using it for a few weeks, because it depends for some persons. But usually it's using topical steroids for a prolonged period of time and then making the decision to stop using the steroids abruptly without tapering off yourself. What then happens is that your body goes into a shock. Trying to regulate itself, you end up experiencing a myriad of symptoms, which includes intense itching, intense flaking, discoloration of the skin, intense burning, and a whole lot of other symptoms, which I'll get into a little later on. With this condition, it typically affects persons who would have had a history of having some other skin condition, such as eczema, psoriasis, or whatever else. And you would have been prescribed steroids to help in the treatment of that skin condition. Now for me, my journey started when I was about 10, 11, I want to say, where I woke up one night and I had a big rash on my neck, and it burnt the living daylights out of me. And so my mother decided to take me to the doctor the next morning, and in the diagnosis, I was told I had eczema. I was given a cream to use. My eczema was under control, I would say, up until I would say maybe 2018, when I started to see some changes. Now to back up, I remember the doctor telling my mother that the creams that he was giving me, or the cream that he was giving me, I should not use a whole lot of it, and then I should not be using it for a very, very long time. But, for me, that translated to use a little bit of the cream, not a lot, just a little, on my neck. And whenever it cleared up, stop using it. And don't use it like you would put lotion on your skin, pretty much, right? So that was my understanding from that. So every time I had a flare, and if you've had eczema or any other skin condition that you've used steroids on, you know what I'm talking about, right? So whenever I got a flare, I would use the cream to treat the flare, and once the flare was gone, I stopped using the cream. And I did that for a very long time, for about 20 something years, right? Now, fast forward to 2018, I want to say, I started getting the eczema in other areas of my body. Now, mind you, over the years, I had been going to the dermatologist, getting higher dosage of the topical steroid prescription, because my neck, every time it flared, would flare worse than the time before. And I also had some eczema, I was told. Right now, I'm kind of questioning that. But I was told I had eczema between my legs as well. I'm starting to think it was something else. That's a story for another time. But, so I was using it on my legs as well. And every time I went to the dermatologist to get a new prescription, I was either given, my prescription was either renewed or I was given a higher dosage based on what was happening at the time. Now, 2018, I began to see some additional flare-ups in other parts of my body. So my chin, it started off on my chin. I had a discoloration on my chin. And didn't use the creams there. I didn't bother to go to the dermatologist at that point in time. But then afterwards, I noticed that I started getting eczema on, without remembering the correct sequence, I started getting eczema on my face, in my hair, under my armpits. And it was beginning to become a cause for concern for me, especially when it got to my face. When it got to my face, that's when I went and changed my dermatologist. Went to a new dermatologist, and she explained to me that I had about 4 different types of eczema over my body. So she gave me about 4 different types of cream. I got a cream for my face, a cream for my neck, a cream for my underarm, a cream for my between my legs. And after about a couple of weeks of using the creams, my face? I think my face started to clear up just a little bit. My neck cleared up, but my underarms still was giving me a problem, and I think between my legs. And I started to get a little frustrated. And I noticed that the eczema had spread now to behind my knees. That was it for me. I went back to the dermatologist again to let her know that, hey, this stuff isn't working anymore. And so we need to try something else. Trying something else meant trying another set of steroids. Now, at this point, I was over it. And so I decided that I was just going to try to take matters into my own hands. And so I decided to stop taking the steroids altogether, and decided that I was going to change my diet instead, and use some natural remedies on my skin. Didn't think of doing that over the years, because obviously using steroids, once you put them on your skin, is a quick fix. So once you put it on your skin, a couple of hours later, you feel so much better. So using natural remedies before was not something that I thought about doing. So I decided that I was going to cut out dairy. So no cheese, no milk. I had to cut those out. So I cut those out. And I decided to go on a low gluten diet. Couldn't go the full way because gluten is in pretty much everything. But I decided that I was going to limit my intake of bread, pasta, biscuits, cakes, cookies, you name it that has gluten in it. I was going to reduce my intake of those things. And then I decided that I was going to go more natural, using aloe vera, for example, on my skin, moisturizing with more natural products, not using scented products, changing the soaps that are made with, those kind of things. And then also what I intake. So I decided that I was going to drink the aloe vera as well to help cleanse my system, that kind of a thing. Now, it helped for about 2 weeks, I would say. And then I had some pasta that was like, a lot of pasta was cooked one night. And I said, you know what, instead of wasting this thing, let me just have the little that was left. And I had it, and that was a big mistake. Didn't know at the time it would have been. But I had it, and the next morning I woke up, my face was inflamed, puffy. Flaky. Between my legs had this black, blue, reddish color to it. My underarms were inflamed. And I was like, what is happening? So this happened for maybe another, over the course of a couple of days. And I started inquiring from my cousin, who is a doctor, what it could possibly be. She sent the pictures, took a picture, she sent it to some other doctor friends of hers. They told me to get to the dermatologist immediately, that kind of thing. But at this point, I was kind of over the dermatologist thing, so I didn't go immediately. I was like, okay, maybe I'm having a bad reaction to something I ate, which I kind of figured it was the pasta, because it happened the day after I ate it. So I decided to go again, just to go the natural route. So I'm Jamaican, so I drank Cersei to detox. I went to this ITAL festival, I remember, and I got some natural remedy stuff. So they gave me, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I got like turmeric and charcoal and noni and a bunch of other stuff, and I was taking it, and I think it made things worse because it pushed out it started to push out whatever was in my system, and so everything started to come up to the surface, and so the discoloration got extremely bad. After that, I started to experience some nasty symptoms, and I want to just read something before I go any further on exactly what TSW is. And I'm reading from a computer here, so don't mind me. And I'm reading from the ITSAN website, which is the Topical Steroid Withdrawal Syndrome Support. And if you are experiencing any of these symptoms or majority of these symptoms, I would suggest joining this group on Facebook. I would suggest reading more on the ITSAN website. Itsan.org is what it is. So it's ITSAN.org. It says Topical Steroid Withdrawal Syndrome, TSW, also known as Topical Steroid Addiction, TSA, or Red Skin Syndrome, RSS, is a debilitating condition that can arise from the use of topical steroids to treat a skin problem such as eczema. This condition can also arise from topical steroid use in individuals with no prior skin condition, such as cosmetic use for skin bleaching or to treat acne, or in the case of caregivers who neglect to wash their hands after applying topical steroid on someone else. They come in many different preparations, including creams, ointments, oils, gels, and lotions. Some are sold over the counter, others require a doctor prescription. Topical steroid withdrawal syndrome is characterized by red, itchy, burning skin that can appear after ceasing topical steroid treatments or even between treatments. Topical steroids are effective for a period of time to treat the skin condition. But as time passes, however, applying topical steroids results in less and less clearing. The original problem escalates as it spreads to other areas of the body. This progression is often mistaken for worsening eczema, contact dermatitis, an infection, or an allergic reaction. However, A cluster of non-skin related symptoms also emerge, constituting a syndrome, not solely a skin condition. TSW syndrome comes with a severe secondary complications requiring multi-daily interventions for a protracted period of time. Many sufferers are bedridden and housebound for months to years before the symptoms abate. Now, I want to talk about some of the symptoms that can occur while you are going through TSW, and I'll read that from the National Eczema Association's website. So some of the symptoms that persons who have topical steroid withdrawal experience includes burning sensation, flaking, shedding, peeling, and spreading skin, swollen or dermatosis in affected areas, redness of the skin, wrinkling, thin skin, oozing, pus-filled bumps, steroid dermatitis, pain, insomnia, hair loss, shivering, fatigue, depression, and disability. These are some of the symptoms that you would experience, and I want to include in here the fact that you have you are unable to regulate your body temperature. So that's also a part of it as well. It wouldn't involve the shivering, but it's really a matter of not being able to regulate your temperature, meaning that your outer body would be hot, but you're shivering as if you're cold. Or you're shivering, your insides are very hot, like then you're cold outside. So I'd be under a blanket, but I'm burning up inside. But I can't take off the blanket because if I take off the blanket, I'll be freezing cold. So those are some of the symptoms that you would typically experience as somebody who is going through topical steroid withdrawal. And nerve pain, I mean, it says pain, but nerve pain is really what you feel as well. Numbness of the hands from all of the scratching that takes place. Numbness of the hands is another symptom I would add in there as well. And topical steroid withdrawal is a condition that is currently being researched. It's still being observed by doctors, and to be frank, a lot of doctors do not acknowledge topical steroid withdrawal. So what typically happens for us as sufferers, or warriors as we'd like to call ourselves, TSW warriors, what happens is that when we go to the dermatologist to say, hey, I did some research, this is not normal eczema, can you help me, because I don't think I want to be using steroids anymore because it seems as though the steroids is what's causing it. Many doctors, all of the ones that I've encountered, but there are a few who do acknowledge it, but most doctors will tell you that there is no such thing, right? I won't get into that. I respect doctors. I respect their education, I respect their profession and all of that stuff. But I think going through this has helped me to recognize how much, us as patients who are experiencing whatever it is that we're experiencing is oftentimes overlooked, right? And this is not to say that because we don't have the experience and the knowledge and we didn't go to the schools and all of these things, but we know what we're feeling. And I think it's a lot of times it's pushed to the side And I've experienced that in this case. Never experienced it before until now. But because this is new, I am guessing, and there's not many persons who are actually going through it. So it's almost as if the condition is being downplayed. And I think that is one of the reasons why I really wanted to come on here and talk about this, because when I did my research in the beginning to recognize what I was going through, because I realized it wasn't normal. It was not just eczema, and I never had allergies in my life. And I'm not saying that allergies can't develop as you get older, but the way in which it was coming about was not normal. And so I ended up doing my own research and realizing that all of these symptoms that are being listed by topical as to be topical steroid withdrawal is what I was experiencing. So this could not just be eczema. When I went to the dermatologist, went back to the dermatologist eventually, when I couldn't take it anymore, and I went back and I was prescribed, first of all, I was told that this is an extreme case of eczema. Mind you, my face was red. It was my entire body, like I don't know if you can tell. Maybe if I put it up to my face. So my hands, my fingers here are very light. So this is my actual skin color, right? My hand is getting a little better now, but this was extremely black and dark. I think you can probably see it a little better here. Right? So my skin here turned red, extremely red. My face was my entire body was extremely red. And it moved from being red to being black and blue to being very, very dark. And it's just now coming back. Now I'm in my second flare, and I'll probably do another video on that, but I'm in my second flare within the 1 year and 3 month gap. When I went to my dermatologist the first time around, when I had the first flare back in November 2023, didn't go to the dermatologist until I think it was February 2024. And the only reason I went was because I was supposed to travel for a work trip, and I really wanted to go on that trip, and I didn't know how my body would have reacted going on that trip. So I decided, you know what, let me just go to the dermatologist and figure this out quick. And when I went, I did my research and everything, and when I went, she said that it was a severe case of eczema, but she wanted to do a biopsy just to make sure, because she was shocked by how my skin looked. And so I did the biopsy. It came back to show eczema, which typically persons with topical steroid withdrawal, it's gonna show just eczema. She prescribed for me prednisone, which is an oral steroid, but she tapered me off. And she gave me some more topical steroid creams to rub on. And so I started taking it because, again, I did my own little research. I don't know if what I found makes sense, even though it made sense to me. But when I asked the dermatologist if she had ever heard about topical steroid withdrawal, she kind of acknowledged it a bit, but then she was like, no, that's not what it is. It's just eczema, right? So I was like, okay. I came home, started taking the prednisones, my skin started to clear up. I started rubbing the creams, but the cream started to burn my skin, so I stopped. So I was just taking the oral steroid. My skin seemed to be getting better. About 2 weeks in tapering off, I started to see some bumps again, because that's how it starts out. Some fine bump starts to come up on your hand. Mine started in my elbow crease here, and then it just spreads all the way down, and that's what we call a red sleeve, right? So that started to happen again. So I reached out to her, sent her a picture, and I was like, hey, my skin is flaring up again, and I haven't even finished the oral steroids yet. And she was like, okay, come back in because I think I tapered you off too quickly. I was like, okay. So I did go back, but I did go back. She did give me some steroids. I do not recommend this. This is my personal journey. I did not take the ones, the additional steroids she gave me. I did not take them. I went on my trip, came back. My skin wasn't fully healed, but it was, to me, it was getting there. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do any doctor's medication anymore. I'm gonna come off of this thing. Now, to give you a time frame, I went on my trip in March, came back. Between the months of, I want to say, July, August, September, I was about, I would say, 90% healed. And why I say I was 90% healed was because between my legs still looked bad. My skin, my skin tone came back. I was sleeping well. Oh, so I was about 90% healed for 3 months. 3 to 4 months, I would say. November of 2024, I started to see the bumps come again, and I was like, Lord, help me. Fast forward, November, December of 2024, I was back into a full body flare. January, February, now we're in March of 2025, and I am just now coming out of that flare. As you can see, my forehead, so this is not normal for me. I don't typically look this way. And what I'll do, I'll add like what I looked like before TSW and what I look like now. This is not me, right? Those wrinkles, not me. The under eye thing that's going on here, I lost my eyebrow for the most part. My lips are darker than they really should be. My face, this morning my face is puffy. It wasn't as puffy yesterday. I don't know what happened yesterday. I think I know what happened. I probably had a snack I wasn't supposed to have. I'll get into that as well. As you can see, my neck is darker than how my face is supposed to be, and you can see my hands from what you can see. So this is what you call an elephant skin, and that is another symptom of topical steroid withdrawal. I think I did. So that's what it looks like, and I have this all over my body, right? So I am currently in a flare. I have gone through hell and back with this eczema. I have, luckily for me, and I don't know if well, I guess it's, I could say luckily, but luckily for me, I work from home. I'm a remote worker. I have my own business, which has suffered because of this thing. So I'm home for the most part. So for me, I don't have to go out unless I really, really need to. So that helps. But this thing is very debilitating because I can't, while you're going through this flare, you can't sleep. You are so scared to eat you're so scared to eat. Let's put it that way, because one of the symptoms again, and as I said, the National Eczema Association's website needs to be updated with the symptoms of topical steroid withdrawal, but you develop, I don't want to call it allergies, but you develop a sensitivity to certain foods that you would not have been sensitive to before. So like, for example, coffee, pineapple, any citrus fruit, spices, what else? gluten, if you have too much of it, dairy, if you have too much of it, are all things that can send your body into a flare and delay your healing. And I've never been a person who could not eat certain things. I ate. Like, nothing ever bothered me at all. And since going through this thing, I have to be so careful about what I eat. I have to literally be mindful while I'm eating. Mindful in the sense that while I'm swallowing my food, I have to pay attention to my body's response to it. Right? Do I feel hot after I've swallowed this food? Do I feel itchy? Because then I have to be like, okay, I can't have this anymore. Right? For some things, unfortunately, it doesn't affect you unless you repetitively consume it. So like, for example, last week I had a pineapple. I was fine. But the next day I made a shake with pineapples in there, and I realized my skin was getting more itchy. It was burning me and all of these things. Didn't recognize it was the pineapple until maybe my third half of the pineapple. Only to realize that, oh, it's the pineapple that's been giving me that extra flare. So my face was cooked lobster red, right? And puffy. Coffee has been another thing that I cannot consume anymore. You typically drink coffee every morning, and I just recognized that I could not. After a while, my skin was getting extremely dry and itchy from drinking the coffee, and I was being in a longer flare because of that. So you begin to have a lot of sensitivity towards certain foods. You begin to get sensitivity to your environment, because there are certain things in your environment that can, aggravate the situation even worse. Now, these things don't cause the TSW. The TSW is caused by the damage that the steroid has done to your skin and to your system, to the point of it affecting your gut health. It takes your confidence. Persons wouldn't really understand what you're going through unless they actually feel it for themselves. And I don't wish this on my worst enemy. Right? I look better now, but I'll show you the pictures. Like, I look like a monster. Everybody's TSW journey is different, because I've seen some persons, and if you're interested, feel free to go and read some things on your own. But I've seen some pictures of persons. My heart goes out to them. My heart really goes out to them, because I think I am on the mild end of things, and I don't know if it's because of how I had been using the steroids over the years. Because as I mentioned, once I had a little flare and I rubbed that cream on it and it gone, I'm done with it. And I only use that little bit because that's what the doctor told me to do. Right? So I don't know if my system probably took it better, or if it was because of how I was using the steroids. I don't really know. But my situation, I don't think, is half as bad as some persons that I've seen who are going through this thing. Now, I'll just touch a little bit on some of the things that I am doing currently, and then I'll wrap up this video. If it is that you want me to go into more detail about anything that I've said or spoken about, whether it is the symptoms or the foods that I eat, couldn't eat, can eat, whatever it is, just let me know, and I'll definitely come back with another video to answer any questions that somebody might have for me. But some of the things that I've done to help with this journey, the number one thing is prayer. because this condition messes with your mental health. And so I did quite a bit of fasting and praying. I want to lay that as the foundation, right? I had to go to God in prayer about it because I did not know what was happening. And when I found out what was happening, it was so bad that the only person that literally could help me was God, right? Especially in those moments when you don't feel like being here anymore, and it takes you to that point where you do not want to be here anymore. You don't, because you literally feel like you're a prisoner in your own skin. When you get to a point where you're afraid to bathe, you're afraid to go into the bathroom and bathe because the water stings like acid, this thing messes with your mental health, right? When you feel as though you cannot do anything at all to ease the pain that you're going through, I would put on moisturizer, and within 5 seconds it felt like my skin felt like what we have something that we use in the kitchen called Scotch Brite. It's this rough thing to use to scour the pots. That's how my skin felt, right? And no matter how much moisturizer I would put on, that is how my skin felt after like 5 seconds. And I kid you not. To not be able to enjoy your meal because you don't know if it's going to send you into a flare or not. To not be able to go out without people staring at you because your face is disfigured because of the swelling and the redness and the oozing and the burning and then there's also a body odor that you get with this thing that I can't even describe it. It's just this weird metallic, I don't even know how to describe it. So for all of that to be happening to you, and then worse, you can't sleep. So for all of that to be happening to you, it does mess with your mental health. And so prayer is so important. So I lay that as the foundation. I prayed and I fasted to help me mentally. I worshipped to help me mentally. Another big thing is that, and I'll be mentioning this throughout the whole video, but what you eat, what you put into your body is important just as much as what you put on your body, right? So I stuck to the basic foods. Now again, I live in Jamaica, so my staples outside of meat was sweet potato, pumpkin, rice. I stayed away from citrus foods, grapes. For some reason I can't have grapes. Stayed away from coffee. Staying away from pineapple because the pineapple thing is, we just learned that last week. Staying away from preservative foods. Sorry, carbonated beverages. Staying away from that as well. Pastas, gluten. Staying away from those things. So I would say for me that's what I did, but for some persons dairy might not affect you, so you have to determine what it is that is affecting you throughout this journey. That is something that you have to discover right off the bat, because that will determine how long you stay in this period for. I don't know what the main connection is between TSW and food and your gut health, but there's a strong correlation there that once you get that down packed, you're on your way to healing. I personally stopped using steroids altogether, except for that first visit that I had with the dermatologist, and I decided to do the oral steroid. This is not me recommending to you to do that. That's what worked for me, because I recognized that the steroid is what was affecting me in the first place. I didn't want to continue to put that into my body. So I took my initiative and decided to stop the steroids altogether, because I saw the damage that it was doing to me. I am not telling you to go against your doctor's advice. That was my decision. This is not medical advice. For moisturizer on the body, again, that is something that is dependent on you. For me, I could only tolerate Vaseline. Recently, when I say recently, I mean since this second flare, I've been able to tolerate cold pressed coconut oil with vitamin E oil. So I use that as my base because, you know, coconut oil has it's anti-inflammatory and it's antifungal, so it helps with any infection that you would have presented in your skin. So coconut oil, vitamin E oil for the skin, and my Vaseline. I have used Cetaphil. I have used Cetaphil on my skin as well, which helps. And I use a Cetaphil body wash now. The body wash I have stopped using, but it's a very good body wash. I'll link that in the bio. That helped me throughout the major parts of my flare. But right now I'm using the emulsifying ointment by MAC. I'll see if I can link that in the description as well. But those are the only two things I used to bathe with. For my clothes, anything that is hyperallergenic, if I can find it, use it. Non-scented is the best way to go. And your supplements, please, 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 please. I didn't do this the first flare, meaning from that 2023 November, December 2024, January to, let's say, December, because I was still in a flare, even though it wasn't for about 3-4 months. I was okay for the most part, but I wasn't taking any supplements. That was a big mistake. I'm not doing that this time around. I'm taking my supplements this time around. So for me, I'm taking zinc, vitamin D3, vitamin C, omega-3 fatty acid, and a supplement called NAC. I don't have it close by here. It's in my room. NAC supplement. Got it on Amazon. It's a I think amino acid supplement, but it's very good. Yeah. So your vitamins, your supplements are something that you should take. Anything that supported my skin, I'm gonna take it. So that's what I did. Turmeric is something that is very good. Again, something that I'm taking, it works for me. What works for me may not necessarily work for you, but it doesn't hurt to try. So I've recently started drinking turmeric tea. Not every night, not every day. I take breaks in between, so maybe every other day or every other 2 days, whatever it is. But I drink turmeric tea occasionally to help with this, and it has been doing me very well. So the last thing I'll say is that going through TSW is it's hard. You're talking about an organ being the largest organ in your body being affected, being compromised. It robs you of your life. And when I say that, I mean that you're not able to do things the way you would normally do things, right? In the height of TSW, I couldn't just get up out of my bed and go. It took me a while to get up out of the bed, to get myself together. It took me a while. So this thing it's very debilitating. It is hard for persons who are going through it. It is difficult. But with time and it's hard to say, it's hard to receive that while you're going through it, because I know while I was in the thick of it, and to tell you the truth, I'm not out of it. I have to be so careful about what I eat, because what I eat can send me into another flare. What I expose my body to can send me into another flare. So I'm not out of it, but I'm thankful for where I am with it now. And I'm looking forward to healing, but it does take time. And every day isn't going to be the same. So when you do feel good, give thanks. And just know that even if you go into another flare or another cycle or whatever it is, that you can get through it, because you can. This thing helps you to build endurance. And so it's just a matter of finding ways to be comfortable as you go through it. Finding that support, leaning into your support system, the support system that you have. And if you don't have a support system, go find one, because you're going to need it. And just ensure that you nourish your body as best as you can. Do what's best for you. I know for me, a lot of persons came with all sorts of recommendations as to what I can do, and they were all good recommendations, but a lot of them weren't good recommendations for me. I had to decide what I was going to do for me. And there's a point in time where you have to make that decision for yourself, because you can't do what everybody else is telling you to do. They're not the one going through it. So listen to your body, because your body will tell you what it needs. Pray and ask for guidance. I know a lot of the things that I've done were revealed to me through prayer. So pray about it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to share for today, just to give an overview of what TSW is. If you're going through it, my heart is with you. Please drop a comment. If you know somebody who is going through it, please send them this video. I will do more specific videos, meaning that I'll talk specifically about the symptoms. I'll talk specifically about the foods that I ate. I can speak specifically to whatever it is that you guys want me to speak more on. So leave your questions and I'll do another video based on what I see coming the comments. Yeah, so I'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please drop your comment, like the video, share, subscribe, because it would be nice to be here, you know, for a little longer. And again, I don't think this channel will be about TSW, but I just really felt it heavy on my heart to share about this situation, and I really do hope that it helps somebody. So until next time, have yourself a wonderful day. Bye.